What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadski, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And in today's video, we're going to be doing something very left field, something completely different that has never been done in the Treasure Cruise community thus far. And what I wanted to do is make up a Treasure Cruise podcast where we just talk about the recent events that have been happening in Treasure Cruise and kind of give my thoughts and opinions on them. Now, this is something like an idea that I've been throwing around to some of the other One Piece Treasure Cruise content creators for a while now, and you know, we always talk about this, but like we never actually do it. So today, I'm actually just recording this by myself. I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions on all of the Treasure Cruise related stuff, and perhaps sometime in the future, maybe in the next couple of weeks or month or whatever, I don't know how often I want to do these, but I eventually want to have it so we have either regular hosts or regular guests on this, so that we can have kind of like either a bi-weekly or a monthly podcast where we just talk about all of the content relating to Treasure Cruise, talk about the recent stuff that has been put into the game or upcoming stuff that we're really looking forward to and stuff like that. Also, you guys in the comments section, let me know about your thoughts and opinions on some of the topics that I talk about in the video today. So we actually have like a lot of things to talk about. What I'm planning to do is to talk about the global side of things and also the Japanese side of things, because you know, obviously both games are slightly different. They have different events going on right now, so I definitely want to go through, you know, multiple, you know, different, you know, segments where we talk about the global side of things and the Japanese side of things, because I do know that not everyone plays both versions of the game, or not everyone will play one version compared to the other. So I do want to give my thoughts and opinions on both sides of the game, because I do stay up to date with all of the news regarding, you know, Japan and global. So I do know exactly what's going on. Just because I upload only global content does not mean that I don't stay up to date with all of the stuff going on in Japan. It is actually a really good idea for all of you guys who are global only players and maybe don't pay too much attention to the Japanese side of the game, maybe to stick around in this podcast, because, you know, it is kind of good to just see what's going on Japan, so you can kind of prepare for what might come out on global sometime in the future or in the near future, because, you know, some of the events that are coming up on global are actually kind of crazy that they are bringing to us. So I guess we're gonna get straight into it, and you know, the first, you know, half of this podcast, I guess I want to talk about the global side of things, and then after we talk about all the global stuff, we can go ahead and talk about the Japan side of Treasure Cruise. So, without further ado, let's get straight into it. So obviously on global right now, the biggest events that are happening right now is obviously the Law Sugo-Fest with the Neo Clash Doflamingo event. You know, that was actually just something that was like totally left field. No one really thought that that was ever going to happen, seeing global get the new 6-star striker Law even before Japan. You know, seeing Korea get the actual legend before anyone else was a big surprise, but for then global to get it before Japan, that was an even bigger surprise. It's actually kind of funny, because when that first banner came out, I'll probably put it on screen right now so you guys will, you know, just know what I'm talking about. The banner with the Law and the Doflamingo with the anime style artwork, and you know, when we saw that banner, I was thinking, okay, I think Striker Law is pretty much confirmed at this point, especially because on the Neo Dofi banner, we actually had information regarding the you know, the potential that there's going to be a new law put into the game. The banner said something along the lines of, any law character in Treasure Cruise that will fulfill the conditions for either stage of the Doflamingo fights will get a lower cooldown boost, whatever it is. And at that time when they said that, we only knew of one law that would fulfill that condition, which was the free XP boosting int law that they gave us through the mail. And because they said law characters, and there was only one at the time that fulfilled that condition, they pretty much confirmed at that point, you know, especially with that banner, as I said, that, you know, that Striker Law was actually going to be reaching, you know, OPTC Global. I thought that immediately from the beginning. When I read the banner and I saw the banner's artwork, I thought, yes, this is 100% confirmed at this point. And, you know, a lot of people were slandering, man. A lot of people thought that, you know, I was completely crazy for thinking that Striker Law is going to be coming to OPTC Global. But, well, here we are. You know, OPTC Global did get that Striker Law in that Sugo-Fest. Now, that Sugo-Fest was, you know, kind of controversial in a way, because seeing that Law get a 5 times rate boost only on the 11th pull of a multi, you know, I think that was kind of a shaft, to be honest. I really wish that this was the Sugo-Fest where they introduced 3 multis, get a free red poster. We do all know that that feature will be should be arriving with this Shirahoshi Sugo-Fest, because that is when it debuted on the Japanese version of One Piece Treasure Cruise when Shirahoshi was first released. So, knowing that, you know, the next Sugo-Fest that does come out with a new batch should be Shirahoshi, or it could be Shirahoshi, but it should be Shirahoshi with that feature. But it's just kind of annoying that the Law had a 5 times rate boost on their last poster of a multi, and just the fact that not a lot of people, or a lot of people that did pull the Law, didn't even pull them from the 11th poster in the multi. Like, a lot of people were still pulling them either from the free pulls or from in the middle of their multi. So, you know, it is what it is. In my personal opinion, I think it would have been better if they did introduce, you know, guaranteed red after 3 multis. Maybe not guaranteed Law, but just guaranteed red poster in general would have been really cool. I mean, even if you did pull the Law during this Sugo-Fest, you know, congrats to you, because the Law is awesome when you pull him during this Sugo-Fest that was now live, because he gets 50 cotton candy in attack, he gets max level, so you can evolve him straight away, I'm pretty sure. And also, he has max auto heal sockets, so that does help out significantly. Already having one socket completely maxed out, and auto heal, you're definitely going to want to put auto heal on that Striker Law, so that's actually really awesome. But yeah, so that Law Sugo-Fest was kind of controversial, just because of the fact that with the rate boosts and stuff like that, not a lot of people enjoyed that. Also because of the fact that only Cerebral, Striker, and Fighter type characters were able to be pulled from the Sugo-Fest exclusive list. So any 6-star that you pulled could have only been a Striker, Fighter, or a Cerebral type legend. So a lot of people kind of stayed away from this Sugo-Fest just because of the fact they couldn't pull guys like Akainu, Zoro, or Blackbeard. So, you know, it is what it is. In my personal opinion, I still think it was a pretty decent Sugo-Fest. Like, excluding my pulls, just looking at the community, the red poster rate did seem a little bit low. I would have thought it would have been much higher, but you can't deny the fact that a gold-only Sugo-Fest is still extremely good. And, you know, gold-only Sugo-Fest are extremely rare, so when they do come around, I would suggest to do at least one multi-pull. Even if you aren't a big fan of the unit that is rate boosted or the new character that's in the gold Sugo-Fest, I still would, you know, probably suggest doing a multi, just for the fact that, you know, even if you don't get anything good, the Rayleigh points are extremely useful. You know, gold only Sugo-Fest, you know, if you're gonna go ham on any Sugo-Fest, gold Sugo-Fest are the best to do it on, because the amount of Rayleigh points that you do get from them is really nice. And we all know Rayleigh points are extremely hard to come by in Treasure Cruise, especially if you are one of those people that don't do pulls or don't buy gems. You know, Rayleigh points can be quite scarce, so, you know, having a gold-only Sugo-Fest is quite nice, actually. So, you know, that's the Law Sugo-Fest, I guess, in a nutshell, and that's kind of just my whole thoughts and opinions on it. But moving on from that, let's talk about the current Fortnite and the upcoming Fortnite. So, the current Fortnite, right now, as of me recording this video, is the Rebecca and Toy Soldier Fortnite from Dressrosa. Now, that is actually a really good Fortnite. I mean, the units from the Fortnite are really good. The skill books, they could have been a little bit better, I will admit. You know, Tashigi skill books are kind of nice. Sentomaru books are kind of nice. Who else was there? Ricky, and then 6-star Lucci. So, if you hadn't done Lucci previously, that is awesome. But, you know, the actual units themselves, they're the star of this Fortnite. You know, usually the skill books are, you know, the most sought after thing, but from my personal opinion, I think the units are actually better than what the skill books will provide, in my opinion. That Toy Soldier is extremely good. He has 4 sockets when fully evolved, 1300 attack at max. He has a 2.5 times leader ability, captain ability, and his special ability is actually really insane on a low cooldown. So, Toy Soldier is phenomenal, and also Toy Soldier, the unit itself, can be used to socket heroes, so Toy Soldier is a really good character. And then you got Rebecca, of course, Rebecca being the secret boss, and Rebecca has a special ability that removes blindness completely from your crew, so she is also extremely useful to have. I would recommend you guys try and max out those guys, because they are very useful. But looking to the upcoming Fortnite that's coming after this one is the Smoker and Tashigi Fortnite, where they have the swapped bodies or whatever. That's actually really cool, because I'm excited for this personally, because if you guys saw my Sugo-Fest pulls, I was lucky enough to get the 6-star Kuzan Aokiji And with this upcoming fortnight, Aokiji's skill books are debuting, so I'm really pumped about that. Just pulled a new legend, and his skill books are about to drop on global, so I'm excited about that. I actually don't remember what are the other units' skill books that are actually available. I'm just opening up my game right now so I can see here. So we got Aokiji, G5 Smoker. Okay, so this is a unit. If you guys have this unit, I would highly recommend to max him out, because his special ability when he swaps to the captain, his captain ability when swapped is really, really good. I believe it's like a 3x attack boost to striker and driven, and I believe he gives a damage reduction. So, you know, this G5 Smoker is really, really good. Moving on from that, we have Bastille. He's a combo-based leader, and I believe his special ability is also based on the amount of combo hits you get, and like gives you an attack boost, I believe. So he might not be bad to max out. I know combo teams aren't really the best at the moment, but you know, you can always have hope. I believe that combo teams might be a thing in the future. I hope they are, because the concept behind them is really, really cool. So I would like to see combo teams make a big comeback into Treasure Cruise, but we don't really know at this point. Moving on, we have Baby 5, Master Caesar. It looks like story mode Magellan as well, so that's actually a good one to max out. I believe he's a health cutter and he's a shooter, so he would be really, really good to max out. Thunderbolt Tempo Nami, so that's 5-star plus Nami. You can also get the, I believe that's the strength story mode Lucci and Izo book. So all in all, this is, like, for me personally, this is a good fortnight for me, because I've got a lot of stuff that I want to max out. You know, obviously Kuzan, Smoker, Bastille, all really, really good units. And also, story mode Magellan is very, very good as well. I don't have him personally, but I might save those skill books, because I believe his skill is actually really good. I believe he's like a 20% health cut, something like that. I don't remember exactly, but I know that he's actually pretty useful. So that's actually a pretty good fortnight for me personally. Also, the actual unit itself. So the main boss is the Tashigi body with Smoker inside, and then the hidden boss is the Smoker body with Tashigi inside. So the final boss actually is kind of useful. I believe the final boss is the Tashigi one, and the Tashigi body is a delayer for her special ability, or his or her special ability. It's hard. It's gonna be hard to explain this because of the swapped bodies thing. But you can actually go ahead and use these units to socket out the Tashigi and Smoker of any kind. So the final boss is the Tashigi physical body with Smoker's mind, I guess. Let's just say that. Now that unit is actually really, really good, but it's actually kind of annoying because Smoker is easier to socket. But that final boss with the physical body of Tashigi will only socket Tashigi, and then vice versa for the hidden boss, which is the Smoker one. So the hidden boss is the one that will not show up that often, but that sockets Smoker. But the final boss is the Tashigi socket one. But the thing is, that unit is actually kind of good, and you really want to max that one out because it's a delayer. So it's going to be kind of tricky. I probably will socket out Tashigi first, and then try and skill up the Fortnite unit. But all in all, this is actually a pretty solid fortnight, I will admit, and I'm actually really excited to see. Hopefully the drop rates are good, and I actually haven't even checked out what the Fortnite condition is. I'm going to go do that right now while I'm recording. Let me go ahead and check that out. But yeah, I'm super pumped about the fact that, you know, I was able to pull that 6-star character Kuzan, and his skill books are about to drop on global, so that is awesome. So, condition says your captain will be switched with your middle right character when you encounter Law. Okay, so it looks like Law will make an appearance in this fortnight, and he swaps your middle right character with your captain. So that's going to be interesting to see the team compositions there. So, it looks like the captain that you really want to use is, you know, you're going to put that in the middle right column, and your regular captain, I guess, will be switched with that. So that's actually really interesting. That's a really interesting mechanic right there. And the skill books actually, okay, so I said the strength Lucci before. It looks like it might be the quick Lucci. Okay, so that's even better, actually. That's a really good fortnight. So I'm really looking forward to that one. So now that we've talked about the fortnights in general, let's talk about the brand new 2-week event that is going to be arriving on Treasure Cruise Global. So the new event coming out on One Piece Treasure Cruise Global is going to be the Summer Paradise event with the new Summer Girls characters, which is pretty cool. When this first came out, this information dropped, I believe, on the same day as the Law Sugo-Fest when it went live. Now, the thing about this event is that we're getting a brand new Neo Clash raid boss straight after Neo Clash Dofi. So Neo Clash Dofi will finish, we get a week break, and then the week after that, we're going to be getting Neo Clash Aokiji. So the changes that happen here, right? So Aokiji, the previous Aokiji raid boss is an int character, of course. He maxes, I believe, at 17 turns. He's a 2-turn 1.75 striker booster, and he locks orbs for 2 turns. Like, he's a very, very good character. Now, what changes here with the Neoclash Aokiji is the fact that he turns from an int character into a dex character, and his special cooldown will max at 1 turn lower than the purple one. So he will normally max at 17, as I said, so he maxes at 16 turns this time. So that's also really, really good. So if you do need to run Aokiji on your team, you can run either version of this unit, and both have their, positives and negatives, of course. So the green one has lower cooldown, but obviously, there might be situations where you do need the extra purple unit, so you might want to run the int one instead. So it just does depend on the situation. Now, for this Neoclash, there are 3 different classes that you have to build for the dungeons themselves. So the first one, you have to build a shooter team, you have to build a striker team, and you have to build a free spirit team. So those are the 3 dungeons that are available against Neoclash Aokiji. So I don't remember exactly what each of these stages do, but remember, when we were trying to prepare teams for the Neoclash Dofi, they ended up changing the actual dungeon itself. They changed all the features about it, and we had to build our teams completely differently. So we can't really base our teams off what the Japan versions of these dungeons were like, because they could completely change them like last time. Which I think they might do it. They might do that because the shooter one is going to be kind of difficult, because from what I've been hearing from people is the fact that the shooter one, I believe, locks your specials for 3 turns. He special binds your specials for 3 turns. So that's going to be difficult to get around. Very, very difficult. So I guess like the best teams I can think of for right now are going to be either Stronghold Ace teams or Kizaru teams, I would imagine. Because remember, the boss is a dex character. I was considering trying to build a Kuzan team. But because he's a quick character, Kuzan being a quick character and the Neoclash Aokiji being a dex character, it isn't going to be too great. I mean, for the free spirit one, I'll probably still build a time skip Luffy team. You could probably still build a pretty solid Sabo free spirit team, or if you really need to go that way, you could probably still use the Intervankov as a captain, because Intervankov's still a pretty good captain, still 2.5 attack to free spirit, and use a friend time skip Luffy, or you could still bring along a 5-star plus Luffy, and then bring friend time skip Luffy. That actually would probably be the best option for most people that don't have time skip Luffy, is 5-star plus Luffy with a friend Red Hawk Luffy. That will work really, really well, I would imagine. So yeah, Neoclash Aokiji is going to be arriving on, I don't remember actually, it's going to be like the 20-something, I'm going to check the dates real quick. I believe it's going to be like the 24th, 23rd, around about that time. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. I don't really like the fact that they are giving us Neoclashes so regularly. I mean, we had Mihawk, and then we had, I think it was a 1 or 2 week break, and then we had Dofi, and then we're going to have a 1 week break, and then we're going to have Aokiji. Now, when we compare it to the Japan version, we are still quite a few Neoclashes behind, I think. I think we're still missing Pika, Aokiji, which is coming soon, and then Japan just had Neoclash Sabo, so we'll talk about that a little bit later. Neoclash Sabo is a very, very interesting event. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I hope they don't give us the Neoclashes too often, because we still do need to catch up on regular raid bosses too. We are still behind on that. Guys like Magellan, Bellamy, Virgo, the General Frankie as well. There are still quite a few raid bosses that we are missing. 22nd of August is when Neoclash Aokiji will arrive. 22nd of August PST time. So yes, he will be arriving then. So yeah, that is going to be arriving on Treasure Cruise Global. Let's move on now on the next part of the Summer Paradise event, which is going to be the fact that Colosseum Don Chinjiao is going to be arriving on One Piece Treasure Cruise Global. Now, if you guys don't know, this is going to, well, for Global, this is going to be the first Colosseum that is going to be a 50 stamina cost to run. Yes, you heard that correct. For all the people that don't know, on Japan, they've actually got Colosseums now that are 50 stamina cost, and yes, they are extremely difficult. I think there's 3 bosses in the actual dungeon itself. So normally on a normal Colosseum, you guys would know, is on stage 4 you have to fight the 4th battle unit again on the last stage, and then so that's on stage 4. You have to verse that unit that you just fought on stage 4. and then on the 5th stage you fight the final boss. But on stage 3, before the stage 4 boss, you have to fight one random boss from the first 3 stages that you fought for that Colosseum. So it does make it extremely difficult because you have to build a team that can beat 3 bosses in a row. So it's going to be extremely difficult. I mean, I've been looking at the actual dungeon itself on the Japan version of the game, and there aren't that many teams that can beat them. I mean, and the teams that can beat them, they are very rare recruit reliant. So I don't know how Global is going to deal with this event. If we had raid boss Magellan, I think that global players who are more free to play could definitely get around this event by using a zombie based team, but because we don't have access to raid Magellan, it is going to be difficult for those players to actually take down the event. It's going to be very, very difficult. Because it is a 50 stamina Colosseum. Also, we are getting the ambush quest back as well, so you will be able to challenge ambush quest Shanks after completing a Colosseum, and that's only during a certain period though. It's only like a 3-day period, I believe, and then ambush quest Whitebeard is also coming back for a weekend as well, so during the same period as Shanks. So that's going to be a good opportunity there. If you guys haven't done so already, try and farm either those Super Evolution skulls or to pick up the actual units themselves of Shanks and Whitebeard. I would personally recommend, if you're going to go for any of the ambush events during that weekend, I would highly recommend Shanks. Shanks as a captain and as a sub is one of the best, if not the best, free-to-play unit you could possibly have on your account. Cerebral 2 times, Cerebral and Free Spirit 2 times Orb Booster, and also makes tandem and recovery counters matching. Insane special, 15 turn cooldown. You have to max this guy. You just have to. He has 3 sockets too, which is also really, really good. But yes, as I said, if there's any ambush event that you should try and max out, I would definitely recommend that Shanks. And also the thing with Colosseums this time around is the fact that the new Colosseums that come out, being Don Chinjiao, Miss Valentine, and Kuro, all of these units you'll be able to run at ×2 stamina, which thank God for that. Farming that 50 stamina Colosseum and how difficult it is, it actually takes quite a long time to beat it. It'll probably take at least 5 minutes to clear the dungeon once, maybe even longer depending on what team you're running. So it is good that they are running the 2 times stamina, meaning that it will take less time to try and max this guy. So thank God for that. Now, if you guys don't really know what Don Chinjiao does from the Colosseum, his special ability is a multi-stage special. Stage 1 is a 10 turn max, stage 2 is a 15 turn max. His stage 2 special is a 25% health cut to 1 enemy, I believe. I don't know if it's all enemies or just 1. I think it's 1 enemy. And also give you a 70% damage reduction for 1 turn. He is so good. And then his stage 1 special is a 20% health cut, 50% damage reduction. So he's a must-max in my opinion. He's a Psi fighter powerhouse, I believe. And then his pre-evolution is a striker, I think. So it's kind of like what the opposite one of the rare recruit. The rare recruit, Don Chinjiao, was a fighter that evolved into a striker, so it's the vice versa this time. He's now a striker that evolves into a fighter. I do believe that's what happened. So, yeah, Don Chinjiao is a must-max in my opinion. He helps out a lot. Actually, he would have helped out a lot against Neo Clash Dofi, to be honest. That's actually kind of funny that we're getting him right after Dofi leaves. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not we actually get the Neo Clash raids to come back, like a repeat. That would be interesting to see. If that maybe what they'll do is that if they bring back the Neo Clashes in the future, maybe what they might do is bring them back, but make the dungeons that you have to fight him, like they'll change the classes. So, obviously with Neo Dofi this time, it's Cerebral, Fighter, and Striker. Maybe they'll change it to maybe, I don't know, Driven, Slasher, and, I don't know, Shooters or something like that. That'd be interesting to see if they would do that. I'd be down for that. But anyways, what does Miss Valentine do? I'm actually going to look it up really quick while I'm just sitting here right now. Miss Valentine, Captain ability is not really useful. Her special ability maxes at 11 turns, binds self for 2 turns, makes bomb orbs beneficial, and boosts attack against enemies with reduced defense by 1.5. Okay, so she's probably a must-max too. Her stats aren't great. She has 3 sockets, Fighter, Free Spirit. Yeah, I would recommend maxing her. And the last unit is Kuro. So Kuro from the Colosseum. Let's have a look here. I believe he's int? Yeah, he's int. Okay, so he's a Slasher Cerebral. Captain ability, you're not going to use too much. He does reduce special cooldown, so he's like one of those speedy captains. Special ability, reduces bind and despair durations by 2 turns, and for slashes and cerebral characters, randomize non-matching orbs and changes own orb into int at a 7-turn cooldown. So, not too bad. He has 1300 attack, I guess. That's actually a lot higher than what I would have thought. So, you know, Kuro's okay. Miss Valentine, in my opinion, you should max, and Don Chenjiao, you should max. So, that is all of the information regarding the Colosseum. Okay, next thing that we're going to talk about is the fact that, you know, the summer girls are coming. So, Violet and Bonnie, the new summer Fortnite units. So, that's actually kind of cool. You guys know the artwork, you know, it's kind of good. Always kind of good. The plot is real. Violet, I was actually looking at these 2 units on their abilities. Now, Violet is actually pretty good. She has a pretty good special ability. I would recommend max her. Bonnie is okay. You're probably going to be using Violet a lot more than Bonnie. You're probably not going to be using these units that much anyways, but if you're gonna use any of these units, most of the time you're probably gonna use that Violet. She actually has a pretty useful special ability. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I have to say about that. I'm not too sure what the dungeons entail and how difficult they are. I haven't looked into that at all. But all I gotta say is the artwork is great and their abilities are kind of okay. So you know, it is what it is. And also another thing to talk about with the event is Rayleigh Socket Island. So if you guys don't know what this is, I believe it's only happening 5 or 6 times throughout the 2-week event. But what will happen is you'll enter a dungeon, and what will happen is Rayleigh will talk about a specific socket, and if he talks about, let's say, you'll go into a dungeon and he talks about the chain socket, whatever. He'll talk about the chain socket, and what that means is that you will end up dropping a specific socket term for chain sockets. And what you can do is you can keep exiting and re-entering the dungeon before you clear it. And depending on what Rayleigh talks about, you can actually get specific socket books to your liking. So I believe it's chain, despair, cooldown, orbs, heal, and I think damage reduction as well. So basically the 5 or 6 best sockets in the game are the ones that he talks about, and you can keep entering and re-entering the dungeon over and over again before you clear it. If you clear the dungeon, you can't reset, but if you enter the dungeon and you don't clear it, you can then exit and then go back in until you get the socket book that you want to drop. And then what you can do is obviously run the dupe dropping captains like Baccarat, Haruta, or Buggy. Most of the time you're going to be using a friend Buggy for a guaranteed drop. So yes, you can actually get, you know, double drops of specific socket terms. So it's going to be kind of a good event. It is kind of a shame that it is only happening, you know, 5 or 6 times. It would have been nice if it was, you know, throughout the whole 2 weeks, like every single day. That would have been absolutely insane. But even if you are running like 1 Buggy, you're still getting 2 books per day, I believe. I don't know if they drop turtles or not. I hope it doesn't. I hope it's just the socket book, so you can get dupe drops of that, you know, guaranteed, basically. But, you know, it is what it is. That's the whole basic, you know, rundown of the Summer Paradise event. But yes, we do have more to talk about in this podcast, so let's keep moving on. Alright, so next thing we're going to be talking about is the fact that there is going to be a brand new Facebook event. Yeah, what I heard about this, I actually couldn't believe it. So if you actually go onto the Treasure Cruise notice board and see all the news, there is actually a brand new Facebook banner, and it says from August 16th to August 29th. So that is pretty much from the start of the event, I think. Yeah, pretty much from the start of the Summer Paradise event. So I don't really know what to expect from this Facebook event. Could it be related to the Summer Girls? Could it be relating to a new Sugo-Fest? I don't really know. I don't really know what to think about this Facebook event. It could literally be anything at this point, and I don't really know what to expect. You know, we weren't really expecting to see a Facebook event for you know, the Neo Clash Mihawk, and we got, you know, a whole event based around that. Could the event be based around Neo Aokiji? I don't think so. I think the only reason why they did it for Mihawk is the fact that we didn't have Chopperman missions at that time. So I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I think it's probably going to be relating to maybe the Summer Paradise Girls. Maybe there's going to be a new character that we can get a hold of. Maybe it's relating to a new Sugo-Fest. Potential. I don't really know. I don't know what to think. You know, in the comment section down below, let me know what you think this could be relating to, because I personally have no idea what this could be relating to. Maybe you guys would have a better idea, but yeah, new Facebook event is kind of interesting. Now, there's actually one more thing that I want to talk about before we talk about the Japan side of things, because the Japan side of things is kind of interesting, because we got stuff to talk about, like the new Sugo batch and stuff like that. So, the new thing that I want to talk about here on the global version is the fact that they introduced a new Sugo, not a Sugo-Fest banner, but a rate boosted banner. So saying that for the next period of time, shooters, strikers, and free spirits are going to be rated up. Now, this is very, very similar when Neo Dofi was out, is the fact they had a banner out for cerebral, striker, and fighter characters. Now, this time they're doing it for shooters, strikers, and free spirits for the whole Neo Aokiji event. So, could this potentially mean that we're going to be getting a Sugo-Fest in the future with this banner active, meaning that you can only pull legends from shooter, striker, or free spirit categories? I think it's quite possible. Now, because that this banner probably is going to happen with a Sugo-Fest active, what kind of Sugo-Fest will they give us during this event? Now, there are two possibilities in my mind. I think there's only really two possibilities that it could be. Number one being Shirahoshi, and this would make perfect sense as well. She is supposed to be the next one in line for the new Sugo-Fest on Global. It does make 100% sense. Now, this Sugo-Fest batch, if you guys don't know, is probably going to be one of the better Sugo-Fest batches for a while, just for the fact that you can get units like, obviously, Shirahoshi, not easily accessible because she is a 6-star character, but if you do get her, you can basically clear everything in the game. She is so good. If you guys don't know what she does, her special ability actually is a new feature where she'll give everyone on your crew a rainbow orb. If you guys don't know what a rainbow orb is, imagine a block orb, but instead of being negative for your crew, it's basically counts as a matching orb. So rainbow orbs are units that cannot be swapped, so your opponent cannot swap rainbow orbs into any other colored orbs, kind of like bother orbs, because bother orbs cannot be swapped to any other colored orb unless if it states that it can be swapped by a special ability. But yeah, rainbow orbs cannot be swapped, and they count as matching orbs for your crew. And she will give your entire crew matching orbs with the rainbow orbs, and she heals more than Legend Marco for her special. So she's kind of crazy. Shirahoshi is an amazing unit, and her captain ability is basically raid NL for all units. So yes, that is also extremely useful. Yeah, and that's also a really good batch because you can get a hold of Neptune. If you guys don't know what Neptune is, he is a 1.5 times EXP booster, and he's a 2.25 times attack leader for all units. So, yes, Neptune is an amazing unit to get a hold of, especially for all those higher pirate level people that really want to level up their pirate level. Neptune is going to be amazing for that. Also, on top of that, you get access to units like Fukaboshi. Now, imagine Timeskip Brook, but for strikers and powerhouse. Basically, that's it. Yeah, so Fukaboshi is amazing, and then you've got access to Madam Shirley, I believe. She's okay, and then also Vanderdecken as well. So, yeah, that's a really good Sugo batch. Now, that could definitely be a thing because, Shooter, Striker, Free Spirit are the raid-ups. Shirahoshi is a striker, so she would fit in this Sugo-Fest to put in. But I do think there is another unit, or, oh, is this a batch? Yeah, this unit did come with a batch, the Usopp 6-star batch, because Usopp is a shooter, and, shooters are rated up, so he could definitely be the next Sugo-Fest. Also because we haven't had a new Super Evolution on Global for quite a while now, so, if they bring out Usopp with the green Super Evolution skull, that would make a lot of sense too. And the Sugo-Fest batch that he comes with includes Rayleigh, Heracles, Perona, and Elizabeth. All of those units are kind of useful in their own niche way. A very, very good Sugo-Fest. So, either Shirahoshi or Usopp, in my opinion, are going to be the next Sugo-Fest batch. If it is Usopp, I don't know if I'm going to be pulling on it. I really don't think I'll pull, unless if it's three multis get a guaranteed red. If it's Shirahoshi, I'll probably do quite a few pulls just so I can get a hold of Neptune at least. Neptune will help out a lot for, trying to level up and stuff like that. So I definitely want to get a hold of Neptune and Fukaboshi, and obviously getting a hold of Shirahoshi would also be extremely nice to have as well. But I guess that's about it. That's all the events that we know thus far as I'm recording this video coming to One Piece Treasure Cruise Global. So, yeah, that was actually... I did not think that this was going to go this long. 34 minutes. God damn. Okay, well, I guess that's all it for the global side of things. I guess we'll start talking about the Japan side of things now. Alright, so let's start talking about the new Sugo batch that came out on One Piece Treasure Cruise Japan. Now, I actually did make a video on this previously where I just talked about the new 6-star character being Magellan, but I didn't actually go into much detail, or any detail at all really, on the other units that comes with Magellan. So let's go ahead and talk about each of these units one by one. So number one, the strength unit of this batch is going to be Mr. 2 Bon Clay from Impel Down. Now, this guy was really interesting when I first saw his special ability. Now, his captain ability, I'm not really going to be talking about the other units' captain abilities because they aren't really used that much as a captain. They're just kind of, you know, very generic, I guess, but if they are unique captains, I will talk about them, but mainly I'm going to be talking about their special abilities. So, this guy here maxes at 14 turns, and what he does is he removes all positive buffs on your crew, and then if the special is activated with more than a certain amount of health remaining, I think it's either above 30 or 50%, then it protects you from defeat for 1 turn. Now, this is actually really, really unique. We've seen guys in the past that have removed positive buffs. I think the only unit that does it is Cavendish, Legend Cavendish. I'm not too sure. I know he definitely does it, but I'm not too sure if there are any other units that do it. But this is actually really interesting, the fact that this guy here does it as well. And the reason why this guy is actually kind of good, it's specifically for the Neo Clash Sabo, because for the fighter version, one of the mob units, they actually give you a small orb and attack boost. So having this guy on your crew for the fighter one is actually extremely useful, because you can actually use him to go ahead and remove those positive buffs, so you can use your own positive buffs on your crew. You don't need to do that to beat the dungeon, but it actually is kind of useful if you want to use your own orb or type boosting effects. So that's actually really good. Any sailor ability is kind of useful too. Boosts all stats of all characters by 50. So that's pretty solid right there. Moving on, let's talk about Hannibal. Hannibal is the int character of this batch, and his special ability reduces damage received by 50% for 2 turns, and then boosts attack against enemies inflicted with Toxic by 1.75 for 2 turns. So he is a 1.75 conditional booster as long as the enemy has Toxic. Now, this is not a regular poison. This will only work if you use Raid Magellan or Legend Magellan's poison abilities on the enemy, and if you have Hannibal here, then he will go ahead and apply a 1.75 times conditional boost. That is quite insane, and also reduces damage received by 50% for the next 2 turns, and that's actually really good as well, because if you guys don't know, Legend Magellan's special ability, while it does inflict that Toxic ability, he also recovers a certain amount of recovery times his recovery every turn for the next like 2 or 3 turns. So you can use Magellan and Hannibal together. You'll get that conditional boost. Your enemy is now Toxic, and also you are healing and halving all damage that you're taking. So Hannibal and Legend Magellan are probably one of the best pairs in the game. They work extremely well together. I would highly recommend to try and pull for this guy if you do have Magellan, because they work extremely well together. Even if you don't have Legend Magellan, you can still use Raid Magellan and Hannibal together, especially because of the fact that both the Rare Recruit Hannibal here and the Raid Magellan are both purple characters, so you can build an int team around these guys, which is actually really cool. I like that they did that. So you can either build an int team around those 2 characters, or you can build just a regular rainbow based team with Legend Magellan and Hannibal. So both of those guys work really, really well together. Moving on now, let's talk about the new Ivankov. This Ivankov is a quick character and is a a free spirit cerebral. So interesting to see cerebral Ivankov. That is quite interesting. Now, this Ivankov is extremely good for the Neo Clash Sabo. For the cerebral one, because what this guy will do is that Ivankov stage 3 special changes block and badly matching orbs into matching orbs. So the reason why he's good is because Sabo will change your orbs into block and negative, and this Ivankov is extremely good for that, because Ivankov will change all those orbs into positive. Now, the reason why this Ivankov is extremely useful is because you can't bring someone like Kuma to change those orbs into positive, because Kuma adds an orb boost to your crew, and if you activate an orb boost on the cerebral stage of Neo Clash Sabo, he basically just destroys your entire crew. Like, he changes your units for 4 turns, he gets rid of all positive buffs and stuff like that. So you don't do that. You can't bring Kuma. And like, this Ivankov is literally perfect for the cerebral version of Neo Clash Sabo. So it's going to be interesting if Sabo does come to global and we don't have this batch yet, what they're going to do. They probably will change it up to make it a little bit easier for global. Now, the last unit that we're going to be talking about before we talk about the legend is going to be Jinbei. Now, Jinbei is actually insane because his special ability will max at 10 turns. He is a Psi fighter powerhouse, and his special ability adds 0.3 to the chain multiplier for 2 turns, and reduces chain multiplier limit and chain coefficient reduction duration by 3 turns. So basically, any debuff relating to your chain multiplier, he removes 3 turns of it, and then after that, he'll add 0.3 to your chain multiplier. So he is perfect for Rayleigh teams. Why didn't this guy come out so much earlier? Or why didn't 6-star plus Rayleigh have this special ability? I have no idea. I'm actually so triggered about this, because this is what Rayleigh's special should have been. And then I think 6-star plus Rayleigh and this Jinbei should have had their specials switched. That's in my personal opinion. Their specials should have been switched. Rayleigh should have had this ability to reduce chain coefficient. Jinbei should have had the ability to reduce bind and despair duration. It would have made so much more sense in my head. What are you doing, Bandai, man? What are you doing? But even still, an amazing character to have, especially if you are in a situation where you do get your chain reduced or limited. This is going to be an exceptional unit to get rid of that. And he's only a 10-turn cooldown at max, so he's actually kind of good. So yes, very, very good character right there. And obviously we have Legend Magellan. If you guys hadn't seen what Legend Magellan does, make sure to check out my video on my YouTube channel where I go ahead and explain everything about this unit itself. In my personal opinion, he's going to be able to clear just about anything in the game. Just about anything. He wouldn't have too much issues clearing because of the fact that even though he doesn't boost, he doesn't give a lot of attack boost, he has the 1.5 times health, and also the fact that he has a 15% HP reduction to the enemy at the end of each turn. So even though you're not doing a lot of damage, this guy is the kind of captain where you want to go ahead and, take your time, take down your enemy at your own pace. This guy doesn't really rely on bursting down your enemy in one turn, like Time Skip Luffy, Gear 4, Akainu, Sanji, etc. This guy is solely relies on the fact that you have a lot of health, so make sure that you have a healer and you'll basically be fine. So, this guy is exceptional. If you do want to do a lot of damage with him, then you can still do that with Hannibal, as I said earlier, but still, this is actually a really good batch. I'm not too sure if I'm going to pull when it comes to global. I'm not too sure or not, but still, this is a very, very solid Sugo-Fest batch. All in all, Magellan is very, very impressive, and the actual sub-units, rare recruits that are in this batch as well are kind of useful as well in their own right. So another unit that kind of was released with this batch was the brand new 6-star plus character being Shanks. Now, the OPTC Reddit kind of went, they went ballistic when this thing was announced. And, me, myself, I was extremely excited to see what kind of abilities this guy would have. And, when his abilities were confirmed, a lot of people just went to the conclusion that, oh my god, he's bad, I'm gonna sell this unit to the race shop, why you do this, Bandai? I just don't understand the backlash to 6-star plus Shanks. I really, really don't. People saying that 6-star Shanks is better than 6-star plus are delusional. You are absolutely delusional. There is no way that you can say regular 6-star Shanks will be better than 6-star plus Shanks. There's no way. There's only one reason why he would be better, and that's the fact that 6-star Shanks does AoE damage, whereas 6-star plus Shanks does, single target damage. So that's the only, that's the only positive that regular 6-star Shanks has over 6-star plus. As I said, this guy is exceptional in my opinion. A flat out 2.75 attack to yellow, including with a 1.3 HP boost, and increases chance of getting Psi Orbs depending on how much health you have. So the more health you have, the higher the chance you're going to be getting Psi Orbs. Now, a lot of people say, oh, that's terrible, why isn't it just the same rate no matter what HP? It doesn't really matter in the end of the day, because with his special ability, they changed it so that it guarantees you to get a full board of Psi Orbs. So, it basically makes Guild Tesoro completely irrelevant at this point. If you have 6-star Shanks, there's no need to have Tesoro on your crew anymore. You can just run this guy, and he will guarantee you a full board of matching orbs for your Psi team. Also, his stats did get a really nice increase. He got like 110 extra attack. Just that in general is quite crazy. So at max, he'll have, with max cotton candies, he'll have 1710 attack. That is phenomenal. Really, really good for Shanks. And as I said before, he's now on the single target damage, but that single target damage is really, really high. It's 75 times his attack, and also reduces the defense of all enemies by 100% for 1 turn. So 6-star Shanks does it for 2 turns. This guy does it for 1 turn. So, in my opinion, that doesn't matter. I think that's completely, I don't really care about that, because in literally 99.99999% of cases, you don't need 2 turns of 100% defense reduction. In most cases, literally 99.9999% of the time, 1 turn of 0% defense for the enemy is all you will need. If you need more than that, well, you'll have a friend Captain Shanks that can just do it again. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter. I think that this guy is really, really good. A nice buff. A lot of people were just really upset with the fact that this guy didn't get the, Akainu treatment, where he is basically as strong as Akainu. I didn't really think he was going to be as strong as Akainu in any way, shape, or form. I didn't think he was going to be as strong as Akainu. I would have preferred it to make it sort of similar to Akainu, like his abilities to be similar, but I never wanted his attack boost to be as high as Akainu. And I've said it once and I'll say it again. It's just because of the fact that yellow teams don't have a weakness. Strength teams do have a weakness. They're weak against quick. If you made a yellow version of Akainu with the exact same attack multiplier, that would be the most broke team in the game. Hands down. There is no way they would ever do that. I would like to see a yellow version of Akainu with a less attack multiplier. That would have been fine. But you cannot do a 4 times attack captain for yellow. That is just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, we've seen guys like Kizaru. Kizaru is a 3 times booster, and a lot of people can run pure yellow teams with him, and he can clear everything in the game. So, he can run a shooter team or a slasher team or whatever with him. But Kizaru, you can run pure yellow teams with Kizaru, and they destroy so much content. Just because, you're basically, you're neutral against everything, and then if you come against a purple boss, they just die even quicker. That's the thing. So I think that, 6-star plus Shanks is balanced, and I think that it is the buff that Shanks needed. He's definitely a lot better than his regular 6-star form. I mean, people with 6-star plus Shanks have been able to clear training forests, really difficult ones, like the Blackbeard forest with this guy, even the Law forest and stuff like that. This guy is exceptional, an amazing, amazing buff for a 6-star character that desperately needed something to help him get off the bottom of the tier list, man. So currently at this point, talking about in the future, what are the future 6-star pluses? Like, what could be coming in the future in terms of super evolutions? Now, in my personal opinion, I believe the next 2 6-star pluses, not in any order, are going to be either, Sengoku or Mihawk. Now, the reasoning for that is the fact that since the 3rd year anniversary on One Piece Treasure Cruise Global, with that pool of free legends that you could choose to get, any free 6-star character, all of those characters that were on that list have been getting super evolutions. You've seen it, Rayleigh got one, Lucci got one, Shanks got one, and the only ones on that list of free legends that don't have a 6-star evolution yet, 6-star plus evolution yet, are Mihawk and Sengoku. So, in my personal opinion, what they're doing is they're going through that list of free legends so that everyone that did select a free legend are going to be able to have a super evolved legend character. So, I think the next 6-star pluses are going to be Sengoku, and it's going to be Mihawk. After that, though, man, who knows? I mean, I think Jinbei probably deserves one. He is kind of... Jinbei is not a bad legend, I will say. Jinbei is not a bad legend. It's just the fact that Gear 4 is just so much better than Jinbei. There's literally no point to using Jinbei at this point. If you're using Jinbei, then if you have Gear 4, but you're continuing to use Jinbei as a captain, you're just hindering yourself. You are just hindering yourself. There's no need to use Jinbei if you have Gear 4. Gear 4 in every way, shape, and form is much, much better than Jinbei. But saying that, Jinbei is not a bad character. It's just that Gear 4 is much, 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 much better than him. So I would like to see Jinbei get some sort of buff to make him maybe not as strong as Gear 4, but some sort of buff that will make it so that people that do have Jinbei are still they're just buff Jinbei. I just think Jinbei just deserves a buff. Other legends that are, in my opinion, deserve a buff would definitely be Ace, 6-star Ace. I mean, to be honest, now that I'm thinking about it, it's been a while since we've had just a really, really strong shooter captain. Aside from Ace. Ace has been the best shooter captain. I mean, we've had Kizaru. Kizaru is phenomenal shooter captain. But I think it's about time that shooters got a bit of a buff. I mean, we've seen strikers. You guys have seen how much of a buff strikers have gotten over the last 2 to 3 months of Treasure Cruise. They've gone from literally the worst class in the game to probably the best or second best class in the game in a matter of like 1 to 2 months, maybe even 3 months. With what was the guy? Nekomamushi, bringing him out in his batch was crazy. The Striker Law, hello, and also Raid Virgo as well. Just all these, all this support for strikers. They've gone from the worst to either the best or second best class in the game with the release of a couple of characters. So, they do need to do that sort of thing with shooters, because I believe shooters are one of the weaker classes right now. Obviously, back in the day, Strong and Ace teams were the GOAT. They were the shit. They were the stuff that was clearing everything in the game. So I think that shooters do deserve some sort of support, whether that be in the form of 6-star plus Ace, or in the form of a brand new shooter-based legend. As we've seen, seeing Shanks get a 6-star plus, I could definitely see the fact that, Shanks getting a 6-star plus from his, Strongworld form, that doesn't mean that Ace could definitely get a 6-star plus in the future, going from Strongworld to some other form of some sort. I don't know what it could be, but it could definitely happen. So, yeah, so I guess that's my thoughts and opinions on, 6-star plus Shanks and the future 6-star pluses in One Piece Treasure Cruise. Alright, so next thing that I want to talk about right now is one of the biggest things going on the Japan version of OPTC right now, which is the Neo Clash Sabo. Wow, when this first got announced, a lot of people were starting to get scared. A lot of people were really frightened as to how difficult this was really going to be, because even right now, Sabo is still probably one of the top 3 most difficult raid bosses in the game, and people still struggle with that, and that is without any conditions, on those dungeons, but restricting it to only shooters, fighters, and cerebrals, so that makes it even more difficult than it previously already was. So it's going to be interesting to see how people are going to team build for this. I mean, I haven't seen too many videos on it right now as of me making this video, but it's going to be interesting to see. So, the 3 classes, as I said, were Shooter, Fighter, and Cerebral. Now, I'm just reading off of the OPTC Reddit Discord, and this is the information that they've provided regarding all 3 of these dungeons. So, for the Shooter dungeon, Sabo will put up a hit barrier, Magellan is said to help with the poison special, Caribou is said to help destroy the barrier, Sai Rare Recruit Kuma is also said to help. So, yeah, he puts up a 10 hit barrier, a 10 hit combo barrier, so that's basically all he does, and I've seen definitely Kizaru teams actually destroy it, because Kizaru's special that will not only give shooters matching orbs, but it does 10 hits of random damage, so, Kizaru's special destroys the barrier, and then you can just go ahead and kill him in a single turn, so the Shooter dungeon is absolutely no problem whatsoever. So the Fighter dungeon now, Sabo will halve your HP and give a small boost. Rare Recruit Kai Jinbei and Rare Recruit Bon Clay are said to help. So as I said there, I did mention it earlier when we were talking about Bon Clay, that, he will give you a small attack and orb boost in that dungeon. So having Bon Clay to remove that is good, but a lot of people are opting for Gear 4, and I believe they are running... What are they running? I don't remember exactly. I think people might be running conditional boosts. I don't remember. But yes, you can clear the fighter stage with Gear 4 without having to use anyone to remove those buffs. But yeah, I think Gear 4 is definitely just the way to go for that one. And then Cerebral. Okay, so Sabo will change orbs persistently and will have an interrupt when trying to boost orbs. Impel Down Ivankov, Wanda, and Sicilian are said to help. So, this is the most controversial dungeon out of the 3, because you basically need those units that I just said, you basically need them, otherwise you're going to have a really, really hard time beating it. So, Impel Down Ivankov will change all those orbs that he gives you that are really, really bad, like block and negative orbs, into positive. Wanda and Sicilian together will, if you use those specials, back to back, they will give you a full board of matching orbs as well. But yes, you cannot use orb boosts, otherwise you basically lose. He removes all positive buffs, and he I believe he chains units and he does something else. But yes, that is the most difficult one because you basically need like those specific units, otherwise it's going to be extremely difficult. I have seen double Inuarashi take on the dungeon with just the double Inuarashi specials, you know, using those over 2 turns can help clear that dungeon as well. So double Inuarashi is the most I guess, the most optimal team in order to take on this Cerebral one. But because Inuarashi is kind of a newer legend, not a lot of people have him. A lot of people will have Crocodile, but not too many people have Inuarashi. So, you know, using a friend Inuarashi is good, but still, it is quite difficult to take on this Sabo, just because if you bring an orb booster, you're going to have a bad time. So, you can't bring guys like Legend Dofi to guarantee orbs, you can't use Kuma to change those orbs because he's an orb booster himself. So all those units that we would previously use on Cerebral teams, you can't use. So I guess that's one good way for Bandai to just make people use different units that they hadn't used previously, is to just make it so that if you do bring those units, you're just going to get punished for it. So I guess that is a good way to do it, but then again, they make it extremely hard because you do need very, very specific units in order to make that dungeon work. So yes, that is definitely the most difficult dungeon out of those 3. Shooter, as I said, Kizaru, Fighter, Gear 4, Cerebral, Inuarashi, but man, a lot of people don't have Inuarashi. Even Kizaru, man. Kizaru, you don't see too many people with Kizaru these days. But yes, Kizaru just destroys that one. That's the thing, right? Okay, so with the Shooter dungeon, you can use a friend Kizaru and you'll have no problem. But with the Cerebral one, you can use a friend Inuarashi, but it's still going to be hard. It's still going to be hard, even with a friend Inuarashi. So yeah, I don't know, man. This is going to be interesting. If this comes to global, like soon, like maybe within the next like 1 to 2 months, they're definitely going to have to change it because we do not have the units to clear this shit. We do not have the units to clear it. So it's going to be interesting. Actually, now that I'm reading this now, units will be boosted during this event. They will receive -10 cooldown and 1.75 times stats. The boosted units are the Strength Rare Recruit Aokiji, which is the Kai Aokiji Rare Recruit, the Kai Rare Recruit Jinbei, Sai Rare Recruit Fisher Tiger. Wow, okay, so if you bring any of those units, they will basically get a lower cooldown and massive boost. So if you have those units, that's probably going to be the most optimal thing for you guys to do. So, alright, I guess that's about it. That's all I really wanted to talk about for the Neo Clash Sabo. Extremely difficult, but it is worth it because I didn't really talk about the unit itself. So, Neo Clash Sabo, if you guys don't know, he actually has 4 socket spots. 4. This raid boss, the most broken raid boss in the game, has 4 sockets. And he becomes from a Dex unit to a yellow unit. So this is an extremely good character. Definitely max it. Definitely have to try and max this unit. Man, I don't know, man. It's a hard dungeon. It's so hard. I mean, as I said before, a lot of people struggled with the regular Sabo dungeon, and now restricting it with all these special abilities, man, not too many people are going to be able to do it. Not too many people are able to do it at all. Also, one more thing that I wanted to talk about before we kind of wrapped up this video is obviously the summer units that are coming out for Japan. Summer Toshigi and Summer Vivi. Not really too much to say there. Vivi is going to be a rare recruit character. Toshigi is going to be a farmable character, I do believe. But one more thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that there is going to be another... what's the dungeon called? It's like a new PvE event where you have to verse the 3 dungeons. It's kind of like World Tournament from Dokkan Battle, but it's happening in Treasure Cruise. There'll be 3 dungeons out, and you get like points depending on the amount of runs that you do, and the highest placed people that do the most amount of runs on the certain dungeons get rewards, and like the top 5,000 people in each dungeon get a free 6-star character. I forgot the name of the event. I'll put up the banner image of the event if I can find it on the screen so you guys can see it. But basically, it's like World Tournament from Dokkan Battle. This did happen, I believe it happened last month, where the 3 bosses of the dungeons were the 3 admirals. Now this time, it's going to be Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji. So this is going to be cool. I like that they are doing these events. I don't know if they're going to keep swapping the bosses each time, because I think they're probably going to run out of bosses, like trios of bosses to run. I don't know how they're going to do that. I hope they maybe change the rewards a little bit as well. Because with the last event with the 3 admirals, I mean, that was actually really, really cool. But a lot of people liked only one certain reward, so they only went for that 1 dungeon. So they got to spread out the rewards a little bit more, or change them up a little bit, because you don't want it so that everyone goes for that 1 dungeon. You want it so that all 3 of the rewards are good in their own right, so people want to run all 3. Don't just make it so one reward is exceptionally better than the other, so that everyone will only run that one single dungeon. I think they kind of need to spread it out a little bit more. But all in all, it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with this, and I really hope that the global version of Treasure Cruise gets this kind of event, because as I said, the top 5,000 people ranked in each 3 of these dungeons will get a free guaranteed red poster. It's a free single pull, and you get to pull a legend from any legend in the game. And if you rank in the top 5,000 for all 3 of the dungeons, you'll get 3 red posters. So it's going to be crazy, especially if this comes to global. The thing about it is, right, is if it does come to global, it's going to be a lot more competitive, because obviously there are a lot more players on the global version of One Piece Treasure Cruise. So I would imagine, and I would sincerely hope, that if this does come to the global version of Treasure Cruise, that they make the threshold for getting that free red poster a lot higher than the top 5,000. If I had to put a number down, I would hope that it's the top maybe 20,000, maybe top 30,000. Maybe, actually 10,000. I think they'll probably do 10,000 now that I'm thinking about it, because if you look at the global version of Dokkan Battle for their world tournament, they do have like specific units that you can only get from the world tournament in Dokkan Battle, and in my personal opinion, it would make a lot more sense if it's the top 10,000, because in Dokkan Battle, in the world tournament against everyone, if you rank in the top 10,000, you get 1 copy of that, you know, specific unit for the world tournament. So I guess if they made it top 10,000 in each of the 3 dungeons, you get a free guaranteed red poster. I think that would be kind of fair, and I would definitely try and get in the top 10,000 for all 3 of the dungeons, because, you know, getting a free red poster is very, very good. And someone actually said, I think it was, I don't know who it was, someone in the Discord mentioned it the other day, or maybe it was on stream, someone said that the amount of gems that you would use to farm these events to get 3 guaranteed reds is still less gems than trying to spend them on a Sugo-Fest to get 3 red posters, which made a lot more sense. So spending, you know, you would probably spend maybe 20, 30, 40 gems, right, to try and get in the top 10, top 10,000, top 5,000 in 3 dungeons, but you know, using 40 gems for 3 red posters, that's a very, very good deal, you know. You know, you could spend, you know, up to, you know, 500 gems in a Sugo-Fest and not get a red poster. This is a very, very good deal. I don't really know what the rates for those, you know, red posters are, whether one unit of a red poster is, you know, more rate boosted than another unit, or if they all have an equal chance. I don't really know how that actually works, but still, it's a really cool event, and I really hope that, as I said, I really hope that Global does get an event like that in the future, because it is a really good event, brings the community together, and the rewards are exceptional. So, I guess that's all the information I actually really wanted to talk about. We went for an hour. Talking for an hour. God damn. As I said, guys, I really want to make this, you know, maybe a bi-weekly or a monthly thing. I don't want to do it too often because there won't be enough news to really talk about, to actually talk about in these podcasts. But I definitely want to do more of this in the future, and as I said, I do want to invite people on here, and maybe as regular guests, or just bring on guests sometimes, so that we can have a bit more of discussion between myself and the guests, so that it's just not me talking for a whole hour, because it's actually quite hard to talk, you know, for an hour straight on One Piece Treasure Cruise. So having someone else here to talk about it as well will be good. Also, because having multiple people on it will be good as well, because not only will we just talk about the event, but there's going to be like times where we'll just talk about other stuff, you know, kind of like digress into other stuff relating to Treasure Cruise, which will be also good for the podcast as well. But anyways, hopefully you guys did enjoy this podcast, and if you guys did make it this far through the video, I do sincerely thank you guys for sticking around and watching. Now, if you guys did enjoy this, make sure to smack the like button down below, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post on my channel, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise stuff, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But other than that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.